The first swing of the excavator bucket felt like betrayal. Dust exploded from the sagging wooden wall as beams cracked like old bones, and the barn that had stood for 3 generations shuddered under the force. In that moment, rage drowned out reason. The man on the machine wasn't thinking about memories, or family, or the land his father had loved. He was thinking only of the years of silence, the unanswered questions, and the feeling of abandonment that had buried itself inside him like a rusted nail. He tore into the wood as if destroying the barn could destroy the pain, and yet, deep inside the collapsing structure, something gleamed, something that would change everything he thought he knew about his father and about himself. If you believe in kindness, forgiveness, and second chances, please like, comment, share, and subscribe. It helps the channel and supports stories like this one. He hadn't planned to return to the farm. He had sworn years ago that he would never set foot in that place again. But life has a way of dragging you back to the places that shaped you, even when you try to outrun them. After his father's passing, the land fell into his hands, land he'd convinced himself he didn't care about. But grief is a strange thing. It isn't loud, isn't dramatic. It's quiet. It shows up when you're walking across an empty field, smelling the same dust you breathed as a child. It presses into you as you stand in front of a barn that once echoed with your father's voice, a voice you never truly understood. He climbed into the excavator because he needed a release. All those years of believing his father cared more about machines and metal than he did about his own son had hardened him. Every unanswered question felt like another piece of wood waiting to break. The bucket came down once more, splintering through the old boards, and this time, something metallic rolled out from the shadows. Something polished, something cared for, something impossible to forget. As the dust settled, his breath caught. There, buried beneath stacks of hay and rusted tools, was a motorcycle, shining, untouched by time, guarded like a sleeping relic. It wasn't just any motorcycle. It was a custom Hell Angels bike with golden paint that shimmered like fire under the sun. Its chrome glinted in the broken light pouring through the ruined barn wall. The barn he was destroying had been hiding his father's secret. For a moment, he felt the world tilt. His father, the quiet man who had never spoken much about his past, had been part of something bigger, something wild, dangerous, and loyal to the core. A brotherhood, a family outside the family he could never fully express love to. He stepped out of the machine, knees weak beneath him, and approached the motorcycle as if it were something sacred. Dust and splinters clung to the seat, but the emblem on the tank still shone proudly. It felt unreal. He slowly traced his fingers over the handlebar, imagining his father's hands gripping it, the wind whipping across the fields as he rode alone with the sky. The anger inside him didn't vanish, but it cracked. For the first time he wondered, what had his father been hiding from? Or perhaps, whom had he been protecting? The questions became heavier than the machine he'd been operating. He walked deeper into the barn, now half collapsed, and found an old metal box wedged between bales of hay. Inside were photographs, patches, letters worn from being opened again and again. One picture showed his father, younger, standing beside the very motorcycle before him, smiling a smile he never saw growing up. A letter dated years before he was born described how his father had left the Hell Angels not because he wanted to, but because he had to. Another letter revealed the truth. His father had stepped away from the Brotherhood when he learned he was going to be a father. He feared the life he lived would bring danger to his family. The choice to leave his brothers had broken him, but he had done it to protect the son he barely knew how to love. The man sank to his knees, the box trembling in his hands. The barn wasn't just a place of old wood and rusted tools. It had been a sanctuary for a past the old man had struggled to bury. A past filled with adrenaline and loyalty, but also sacrifice. The sacrifices he never spoke about. Reality hit him with the force of a collapsing beam. His father hadn't been cold. His father had been carrying the weight of a life he gave up. All for him. The barn around him seemed quieter now, almost reverent. The motorcycle no longer looked like a machine, but rather a message sent through time, a message from a man who didn't know how to say the words, so he lived them instead. Slowly, with reverence, he pushed the motorcycle out into the sunlight. Golden metal gleamed like a heartbeat restored. For the first time, he didn't feel like he was alone on that land. He felt his father there, in the wind that brushed against his cheek, in the weight of the handlebars beneath his palms, in the rumble of silence surrounding him. Rebuilding the barn suddenly felt more important than destroying it. Not to preserve the lies he had believed, but to honor the truth he had discovered. The legacy wasn't in the wood, it was in the sacrifice, the road his father had left behind, and the road he was now being asked to travel. By the time the sun dipped low across the horizon, he knew what he needed to do. He would restore the motorcycle, restore the barn, and restore the connection he thought had died long ago. His father's story wasn't meant to be hidden under dust and silence. It was meant to ride again. If this story moved you, please like the video and share it with someone who needs hope. It truly helps the channel reach more hearts. Before the ending, tell us in the comments, what would you have done if you discovered a hidden legacy like this from someone you loved? In the soft twilight, he sat on the motorcycle, closed his eyes, and let the wind brush past him. For the first time in his life, he didn't feel abandoned. He felt chosen, and he realized that sometimes the truth isn't spoken. It's left behind for you to find when you're finally ready.